Patton, I'm so delighted to have you today. We are taping some interviews with members of St. John who have been here for a number of years, and we're going to present this during the church's anniversary in order that members might know a bit about our church in years past. And so, and I understand that both you and your mother joined our church in 1918. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
And what was your mother's name?
Bertha Collier.
Miss Bertha Collier, right. Could you, now at that time, you all had come here from what town?
Pittsburgh, Texas.
Pittsburgh, Texas. And were you attending St. John, going to St. John's Sunday School, or how was it that you came to join St. John?
We first started going to New Hope, and New Hope, and I was in Sunday school, and my mother liked New Hope too. But New Hope, my mother liked to clap her hand and say amen, and of course occasionally I remember my mother shouting, in church. So the people would look at her so strange. And one of the ladies that began to talk to us told my mother that they didn't like to like that in New Hope. You don't speak out and you don't clap your hands. So my mother said, well, I must be in the wrong church. But in the meantime, one of our neighbors and friends from Pittsburgh was here running a meeting with Reverend Harper. He was having a
revival.
Right. Yes. And she was singing for him. She was a great singer. Ada Gray was her name. And we were good friends at home in Pittsburgh. So she was singing, and she got my mother to come over to St. John to church. We were going to hear her sing, of course. And when we got over there, my mother liked it, liked the preaching and all. And so we joined
St. John. Now, all right, so you both joined together there. And of course, Reverend Harper Dr. Harper was the pastor then. I know that you were a young lady then. In fact, you said you were about 9 years old, right?
No, I was about 12.
About 12, right. Well, that's not too early.
I joined the church in Pittsburgh, Texas. I was baptized in Pittsburgh,
Texas. Oh, 9 years old. All right. Now, I understand that, now were you worshiping at the church that was on Cochran and Allen when you joined church, or were you worshiping at the church on Allen and Gilead?
The one on Cochran.
Right.
And
Allen.
It was an old white church.
White church. For those who do not know, that is where Woodall Rogers Freeway is now.
Now, that's
and
right.
Just across from the Catholic Church. Diagonally across from the Catholic Church. But I want to show you here some pictures of the next place of St. John's place of worship, and you can tell me whether or not you saw it when it was being built. And this was known as the Institute, St. John Baptist Church Institute. Okay, let me show you another one there. Did you all have to work very hard when you, the church had to give a lot of money, or do you remember anything? Of course, you were young, but your mother, did she tell you about?
Oh yeah, they really worked hard, the members of the church, to pay for
the Institute. And look like it's getting nearer completion here. I see a lot of people there on that day.
I think that was the day when they laid the cornerstone.
Is that what happened then?
Yeah.
And a lot of people came that day?
Yes.
Crowd.
I was standing across the street looking on.
Yes, and now here's another, here it's completed. And here's a whole crowd. You say you were standing across the street looking on? Right. Yes, indeed. Another crowd of the Institute. Why don't you tell them of what the Institute was, what it was that Dr. Harper had in mind when you all, St. John sponsored the Institute?
They had rooms in there for older members of St. John. And they had their own rooms, and the members took care of their food. Every day, a member of St. John would bring food for these old people. I don't remember how many, but it was, I imagine it was about maybe 7 or 8 living there. And I remember my mother fixing food for them one day, and she had cooked greens and cornbread and fried pork chops and chicken. She just fixed a whole lot of food. And when the deacon, I don't remember what deacon it was now, they came by and picked it up and carried it to him. He said, they'll have a feast now, sure enough. And later on, some of the members, when they see my mother, or even see me, tell your mother she sure did bring us a lot of good food. And they would tell her how much they appreciated that food she brought. And that those older people lived there and was taken care of by the church.
Well, that was something, because really Dr. Harper was kind of ahead of his time.
That's right.
Providing care for the aged, as well
That's
as
right.
I understand for homeless girls. girls
That's
who
right.
stayed there in the dormitories and kindergarten and all of
That's right.
that sort of thing. So it was a social, benevolent institution that St. John sponsored during that time.
Yes.
Well, tell us something about Dr. Hart. I understand that he married you, is that right?
Yes. Yes, he married me. And he had an annual sermon that he preached about the cards, the deck of cards. And that was a big affair every year. So when he finished the sermon that day, he says, we got to get out of here. I got to go out and book a tea. I'm going to marry little Minnie Kate Tamplin at that time. And of course, everybody, I guess, that had a car, I believe, followed him out there, because I married on the front porch. And when I walked out on the front porch, there were so many people all out in the street. The yard was full.
Oh, wonderful.
And I had a big wedding after all.
After all, he brought the church with him
Yeah,
to
he
the
brought
wedding.
the wedding.
Right. He was a fine man,
Yeah.
fine person. You remember, you said this was an annual sermon, this deck of cards, right? And I saw in one of his bulletins where he said that some people had requested the sermon about the eagle stirred the nest. I guess that was one that he did.
That's another one
that he
great
did.
sermon.
Right, yes, and all. So it was well-known preaching. Well, when did you begin working in the church? Under which pastor did you begin working
Well, I
as
went Sunday school under Reverend Harper.
Is that right?
And also missionary work every Monday night, I believe it was.
Right.
It was Monday night that they had mission. And later on, I think they changed it to Wednesday night. And I worked under Reverend Andrews and
Mrs. Griggs, was she
yes.
she was the president of the Mission Society,
Yes,
right?
it was great.
And
One or two people from our from my hometown came up here and lived with Miss Griggs while she was working here at St. while she was living here in Dallas. And they stayed there, and they also worked in St. John Church.
Well, Miss Patton, it's been so nice to have you to give us these insights about the years past and all. Of course, you know, I've known you for a long time. Your son, of course, who passed on, but wasn't he St. John's first Eagle Scout?
No, he was the second. Herbert Chambers was the first.
Okay.
That was got mixed up a long time ago, and I finally had to
Get it.
even straighten it out with Reverend Estelle.
Oh,
He
right.
kept saying it was Roy.
Roy, right.
But Roy and Herbert was a, good friend, but Herbert got his first.
Now, you tell the people, because they don't know who you're talking about, that's Dr. Herbert Chambers.
Dr. Herbert Chambers, I'm
Right.
talking about
Dr.
Dr. Herbert
Chambers was the
yeah.
St. John's first Eagle Scout.
First Eagle Scout.
And your
he was
son.
not only the St. John first, he was the first a colored Eagle Scout in this vicinity.
Right.
Yes,
And then your son,
And then Roy
and
Patton.
your son was named
Roy Patton.
Roy Patton,
Patton.
and he was the second Eagle Scout, right? Well, listen, as I say, we're so happy to have had you to give us these memories of St. John, and of course, having been here all of these years, we know that you love this church.
Oh, yes.
Yes, why don't you tell them a bit about your love for this church, and then we'll be finished.
I did want to say about my other two boys. They were all
Right,
St. John
right.
members too.
Surely.
I had 3 sons
Mhm.
married, after married.
Mhm.
And we all attended church. These little sons of mine, they would go to BTU every Sunday. And several people, they said, who are those 3 little boys I see passing my house going to BTU every Sunday? And finally they found out who they were. They were my little boys that was going to BTU. And
That's Bird, that was Bird.
Frederick Patton
And
and Edward Donald Patton
right.
and Roy. And of course Roy was one of the best photographers. It takes met butts to tell you about
That's
Roy's
right.
photography work,
Work,
because
right.
they worked kind of together
Yeah,
when they
right.
were, when Roy was living. And I, missionary, I worked with the Missionary Society.
Mhm.
And later on, I joined the Board C, and I've been a faithful member ever since I joined.
Oh, yes, right. And we are sitting in the lounge here where some of the decorative items in this lounge, Mrs. Patton donated the hall tree that's
that thing is hanging on. Let's take it off.
That's all right. That hall tree, and
You want to take that off?
and
You want that on there?
also a planter in
A
this
planter.
room.
That planter down there in the corner.
And then, of course, she has given the music department a music stand. So she loves for the church to be beautiful, as well as she does.
Yeah, I love my church. When I see something I want to put in my church, I just go and buy it, put it in there.
That's wonderful.
Give it to them. Because I just want my church to look pretty.